Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, two things are universally true when it comes to the Biden administration. The first is, when MSNBC and CNN start to tell the truth, then you know things are going pretty damn bad. And second is when Karine Jean-Pierre starts to fumble and stumble and can't complete coherent sentences, well then you know that she's lying, she's full of it, and she's pushing absolute garbage. And that is exactly what's going on here. We're still on this whole balloon gate thing, and the current clown show that is the White House is coming up with all kinds of wacky justifications and excuses and conspiracy theories to either justify or deflect from their clear failure here. But like usual, when you're lying, when you're dishonest, it ends up catching up to you, and that seems to be exactly what's going on here, as yet again another orange man bad Donald Trump whataboutism conspiracy theory gets totally debunked and once again leaves these Biden goons looking like absolute fools. And let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, so obviously by the thumbnail, you know the main focal point for this video is Karine Jean-Pierre. Poor KJP, I mean, she is truly falling apart, and it's all happening publicly. Here she is when being asked or when being confronted on the latest and greatest leftist conspiracy theory.
How is it possible that this administration discovered at least 3 previous balloons that flew over the U.S. under the previous administration, but Trump officials didn't know it was happening?
Yeah, so look, I think that, and we have talked about this before, about how when the PRC government surveillance balloons transited the continental U.S. briefly, at least 3 times, as you just mentioned, during the president's prior administration, and once that we know of the beginning of this administration's, but never for this duration of time, as we know. This information was discovered prior to the administration left, but the intelligence community, as I said, is prepared to give briefings to key officials, but this is something. Post. But this is something that they were not aware of, as we've just laid out.
A totally incoherent word salad Kamala Harris nonsense response. And you know what that tells us? It tells us that this brand new claim or this brand new report that actually during the Trump years, there wasn't just one spy balloon, one Chinese spy balloon that was spotted hovering in American airspace. There were 3 of them, and Donald Trump did nothing about it. It tells us that this very conveniently timed claim is total bogus. And even Karine Jean-Pierre knows it. She has these, inadvertent tells, basically. If she starts laughing, you know that she's been confronted with the truth. If she avoids answering the question, you know that she's been confronted with the truth. And if she breaks down into a completely incoherent mess, well, then you know that she's probably spewing some absolute nonsense BS. And that's exactly what this is. What a conveniently timed story. The moment Joe Biden starts taking flack over this embarrassing Chinese spy balloon moment, well, all of a sudden, the Biden White House and intelligence officials working under Joe Biden anonymously leak a story to the media suggesting that Donald Trump did nothing about spy balloons on 3 separate occasions. Instantly, when I saw this article, I knew it was total garbage. Of course, we had doubts about the story initially, and there were a couple red flags that I've pointed out in multiple different videos. Well, now it seems as though the latest and greatest leftist conspiracy theory, the latest Democrat propaganda deflection piece, has been totally debunked. In the last video, former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, who worked in the Trump administration during the alleged time that 3 spy balloons crossed over, well, he totally refuted this claim, said it was absolute fake news and that it never happened, or that nobody had ever reported it to him or any top Trump officials. Well, now, on top of that, we have former DNI John Radcliffe debunking the claim that Chinese spy balloons occupied airspace during the Trump administration.
Well, it's not true. I can refute it. Former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper refuted it yesterday. Former Secretary of State and CIA Director Mike Pompeo has refuted it. But Maria, the American people can refute it for themselves. Do you remember during the Trump administration when photographers on the ground and commercial airline pilots were talking about spy balloon over the United States that people could look up and see even with the naked eye, and that a media that hated Donald Trump wasn't reporting? I don't remember that either because it didn't happen.
So apparently, it never happened. It's another left-wing fake news conspiracy theory. But that wasn't the only conspiracy. Of course not. How leftists were responding to Mark Esper saying it never happened or he never heard about it was that actually General Mattis had knowledge of these CCP balloons flying over the US, but he chose not to tell Donald Trump. Well, General Mattis has now responded to this claim, and once again, it seems as though it's another leftist conspiracy theory.
But there are some questions we all as Americans need answered, I think. You know, did it really happen during the past administration? Because there doesn't seem to be anybody from the past administration who's aware of it. I'm not for the first 2 years of that administration. Now, it's possible there's old radar tapes that show things that now if we go back, knowing what it looks like, go back and say, well, that wasn't an ice storm over the Aleutians, that was a balloon.
Of course it was fake news. Not just the convenient timing of it all. I mean, it's been 7 years of following these fake news stories surrounding Donald Trump. I mean, at one point you get desensitized to it. You're able to almost instantly tell what's real and what's not. And generally these on-the-fly anonymous sources promoting ridiculous scandals involving Donald Trump 10 out of 10 times are fake, garbage, salacious nonsense. But it's not just the convenient timing, just basic logic tells you that this story is obviously bogus. The Chinese would have never done that with Donald Trump at the helm, because it would have been a PR disaster for them. If a Chinese spy balloon was spotted in United States airspace and Donald Trump was made aware of it, it probably would have been shot down instantaneously. And you know what? It would have been a PR win for the Trump administration. The orange man who's always going on about China, 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 and his tough on China policy, well, clearly that would have been a massive national security PR win for him. The Chinese government would never hand that over to Donald Trump. They're not that stupid. But with Joe Biden, on the other hand, it's a little bit of a different situation. They're willing to take that gamble because Joe Biden is weak on the world stage. And I mean, seriously, let's put it into perspective. The Biden administration showed you exactly who they are because they were more willing to use this whole thing as an opportunity to dunk on the previous administration, to dunk on Donald Trump, than they were to stand up against the murderous, human rights violating CCP dictatorship. That shows you exactly who they are. And clearly the Chinese government knows this. Clearly Russia knows this. OPEC knows this. Terrorist groups in the Middle East know this. And so they're all pushing the boundaries, slowly testing this guy and getting away with more and more. Another hugely embarrassing moment for the Biden administration, not only in their cowardice to react strongly and swiftly to China's violation of US airspace, but the whole fallout that follows, all the lies, the conspiracy theories, the deflection, the totally expected Karine Jean-Pierre meltdown word salad, all of it culminating in yet again another massive L, a total embarrassment for the current vegetable and his team occupying the White House. That's what I got for you guys though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.